Hi, welcome back to the Armenian Museum. I'm Gary Lynn Sanonian, the curator, and I'm here today to talk about another one of our objects in the collection. One of the categories of literature among Armenians is the histories of these lost communities, the villages, the towns, the Armenian life before 1915. And there were these books called the Hoshimatiyan, which are memorial books, memory books about these old communities. And so these are some of them here. History of the town of Aintab, which is a pretty large city. Chumaklo, which is a small village. Habusi, a small village in Harpet. Marash, lots of Marashis in the area here, around Boston. So they range in sizes from this little small one about Erzurum to this very large one about Harpet, the province of Harpet. Lots of Armenians here at Harpetes. But today I really want to talk about this particular one. This is the village of Parchanj, which is a village in Sebastia. Like I said, there are many different books on these kind of things. We have probably about 40 or 50 in our collection, but there are a couple of hundred easily. What's interesting about this is one of the better ones in that it really gives a sense of the life there. You get everything from maps, layouts of where the fields were, where the village was, what kind of entertainments they did. The genealogies, the families, who was related to whom, and lots of material on the lifestyle, the kind of tools they used, drawings of all the various implements, etc., anecdotes, you name it. This is pretty comprehensive. You really get a sense of being in that particular village. It's very enjoyable for that reason, although it's kind of tragic why it was written. Okay, this is the English edition here. This was published in 1984. The original edition was published in 1951 and 1938. Sorry, 1938. And this is it here, and it's in Armenian, of course. The history of Parchanj. It was written by a man named Manuk Ziran. And Manuk Ziran had come to America in 1890, an engineer. Went to Worcester, studied engineering there, and he stayed in this country. And over the years, he gathered the material to write this book. The reason why I picked this book out is because not only do we have the printed copies of the book here, but these are the originals. This is the original manuscript given by Melba, his granddaughter, to the museum. You can actually see that here, the writing out of the text there. It also has things such as newspaper clippings that he might use, incorporate the information into the book. Photographs sometimes, all sorts of notes. Sometimes a photograph, this one should be here, out of a newspaper. And this is all the raw material he used for making the book. And this is one half the volume of it here. And it continues over here with this volume. And so this is a labor of love, which took him, of course, decades to write this book, collecting the material for it. These are some of the drawings. And these drawings actually were done by his, I'll talk about these drawings in a minute, but these are some of the tools that are used by it. And from there, the original Armenian, then, of course, he had to type it up. Wrong again. And this is a typed draft of it with editorial corrections in it before the final publication of the book. So we're very fortunate to have all the tools of his production of the book here in the collection. And this is Mr. Ziran right here. And the reason why I wanted to show his painting is because the painting and those drawings I just showed a second ago, those are made by his daughter, Nurvat. Nurvat Ziran was his daughter. This is a very well-known image of her. She studied at the Art Institute of Chicago. And one of the teachers there was very much into Oriental paintings. This is very fashionable in France in the late 19th century. They loved to make paintings of the exotic Middle East, the harem, the buildings and all this, the camels, you name it. And her teacher Clarkson was one of these Orientalists. and he wanted an exotic Middle Eastern subject. And so we asked this young girl who was a student, who was an Armenian, Nevad Zeran, Manuk's daughter, if she would pose. And Manuk got a costume for her, so she's standing here, the exotic daughter of Armenia. And she's holding worry beads there as a prop when she's standing there posing. And Nevad was very accomplished in her own right. She was not only a painter herself and became a successful one, she was also a singer. And these are some recordings made by Nevad, RCA Victor Records. And this one of these is Gurung, which is the famous song about the crane, the longing for the homeland. And this one here was Manar Manar, which means spin, spin. And this is a woman's song, spin, spin. And what you're referring to is the drop and spindle, where you make the wool, and it's always turning. And so every woman learned this technique, and every village, every town had songs about spinning wool, because they all did it. And they would vary from town to town, but they always shared the same basic theme, spinning. And in some towns, the woman might be just singing a song as they do it. Other towns, they might actually dance as they do it. But whatever kind of dance they're doing, it's always spinning as a motif in this dance. And this is a painting of Manuk done by his daughter Nevat. And this was made in 1929 in Paris. And this is another painting by her here in our collection. And this is the Higgins Wharf in Providence, Rhode Island. And this was a painting that she made in 1938, which is the same year the book was published, actually. And this was actually at an exhibit in New Jersey where she was living. And it was at Kresge. The store Kresge had this for sale there. It was $75. But apparently it didn't sell, or maybe somebody in the family wanted that painting, so they said, please don't sell that one. But anyway, the painting stayed in the family, and this was given to us by Melba, the granddaughter of the niece of Nevat. And so, one little question leads to another, and this is kind of the situation we have with a lot of collections in the museum that have all kinds of interest and permutations. Like, for instance, all those little drawings that you saw of the various kinds of tools or whatnot. In order to print them in this book, they had to make engravings, little blocks, where they do the design of the book. You actually have some of the engravings in our collection downstairs, but I didn't want to bother go down into the vault to get them out to show them here right now. But do all these kinds of permutations throughout it. The Armenian Museum is here to share our stories with you, the public. We thank you for joining us. We hope you'll join us again. And until then, stay safe.